Yep. Good evening, everyone. So, yep. So last session we learnt about class and class related all features. And now we need to understand about node modules. So yesterday we discussed about inheritance and polymorphism, how it works. We discussed about some basic rules of inheritance and polymorphism, how they work. Now, once we are aware of the basic module system in Node.js, means to work with Node.js, you must be perfect in module system. How to create modules, import and use them. And yesterday I showed you how to import classes, how to import the members of classes and use them. So now, after knowing JavaScript and all the module system, we need to learn inbuilt how the JavaScript modules are available in Node.js and how to use them. That means we are going to understand another concept. Actually, we need to understand about node modules. We need to know about the node modules. Working with the node modules. So Node.js inbuilt provides some modules. By using them, we can handle a web application. What are these node modules? Actually, Node.js is a JavaScript runtime that provides various built-in modules, for handling web applications, scripts, CLI, command line tools, servers, etc. So it will provide ready-made modules. By using those modules, we can handle web applications, servers, scripts, command line tools and all. So some modules we need to implement, and some modules are directly available, we can use them. Some modules we have to install them and you need to use. Others are inbuilt available, we can use them. Let's see what are these modules and how to work with them. So first important, in the node modules, we have a HTTP module. So we have an HTTP module, the first important HTTP module. HTTP module. So what is this module purpose and how to work with it? Actually, HTTP module allows you to create your own server. We can create a server, and that in that server we can manage one application. It will handle request from client and it will send a response to the client. When you learned HTML, CSS, JavaScript, how you executed the website that you have designed, how you executed the application that you have designed. Actually, there are two ways. One is you can use a local server or you can use a cloud server. Cloud server, here I will teach you later. Local server means you installed a live server na. One live server you installed and you are using that live server. In Node.js, you can create your own server. You don't need, because to run web application, we need server. And here we can create our own server. And to create server, to maintain app in a server, and to handle the request and response, this module is required. So ready-made Node.js have a module called HTTP. Actually, what happens is, usually we have a basic architecture like this. So the basic architecture is, we are having, this is the client and this is a server. So this is user, this is client, or you can say user, and you will have a server. This is called HTTP server, or we also call it as web server. We have a HTTP server, or it is also called as web server. Generally, in this server, we usually have a HTTP handler. That means actually in this server, this is just outline design. In this server, you have HTTP processing pipeline. We have a HTTP processing pipeline. HTTP processing pipeline. This is HTTP processing pipeline. In this HTTP processing pipeline, actually, we also have one more, and that is, we have an application pool. Application pool. I am showing you a simple outline architecture of a server, how a server works. I will not go very in depth about it, just outline is enough. Every server have a application pool and every server have a processing pipeline. These servers are called web server or HTTP server. Actually, in this application pool, it contains all applications. For example, you have applications like you have some Java apps, you have some PHP app, you have some .NET apps. All applications, server side applications are defined in this pool. We have node apps. So all the apps are designed and they are kept in this pool. We have a HTTP server. In that server, we have a application pool. In the application pool, it supports different types of applications. Java applications, PHP applications, Python applications, .NET applications, all applications are supported in this pool. We can add support for any application. We can remove support of any application. That means I don't want Java apps to run on this server. I can remove that app support from the pool. In the pool, what kind of applications are defined? Only those type of applications can run on server. They can run on server. So what happens is when a client makes a request, client usually make a request. The request will come to the server. In the server, it will go to application pool. It will verify whether the requested application is available or not. If it is available, it will load that application into processing pipeline. And whatever request you made to application, this request will be handled inside server by using a HTTP handler. We usually have a HTTP handler. This HTTP handler manages the requests, identifies your application, loads that application, and send a response back to the user. That means client makes a request and server will send a response. From client side, how request will come? From client side, request will come in different ways. Generally from client, how the request comes, let's keep this here. Okay. From client side, the request will come in the form of virtual request. Request will come like this. What is it? http:// so 127.0.0.1. That is the standard address of server. On your computer, if any server is present, that is the standard. And actually, you will have a port number. Suppose you are using 5500 now. Generally for your web applications you learnt. That means now when you make this request from your client side, this request will go to the application, means it will go to the server. It loads that application on the server. It sends a response back to you. That means this is request. That is request, and we have a response. We have a request and a response. It configures the request and sends a response back to the client. That's what actually happens here. This is just outline. Inside server, so many more things will happen. That means when a request is made, Server will identify request is for whom, which application, what kind of data they are requesting. According to that, it will respond. It will send a response back to the client. So later, our server will able to use, it will able to use a database server. Later, our server will use a database server. It can communicate with the database, get the database and send the database to the client. This we will do later. That means connecting with the database, accessing it, that we will see later. Initially, first, how to create a server, how to design an app, how it handles the request, and how to send a response. This process we have to learn. And to create server, to create a web app, and to create handle request and response, Node.js have a ready-made module called HTTP. So what is the purpose of this module? So HTTP refers to Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It refers to Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So it configures a set of rules. It configures a set of rules for creating web application and handling an application. It configures a set of rules for creating web application and handling an application. So Node HTTP module, can create a server. Node HTTP module can create a server. It can configure a server-side application. It can configure a server-side application. It can handle requests from client and send a customized response to client and send a customized response to client. So it can create a server, it can design one server-side app, it can manage the request, and it can send a response. So it provides a set of properties and methods for creating servers, creating applications, and managing the request and response. So, because it is a module, you have to import a module. Generally, how to import a module and use this module. You know that how to import a module. So constant HTTP is equal to require which module? Module name is what? HTTP. HTTP is a built-in module, ready-made. It is available. So already Node.js is installed in your PC, and Node.js by default have a module called HTTP. You can directly use this HTTP module. You can directly use it. So I will do one thing now. Let's go to the project. So our server side application. This is server app. So in server side application, now we will learn how to create our own application, manage the request and response. So I will delete all these files. And now I don't need all these files. Let's delete these files. Okay. This is our basic application we are having. And here in src folder, I will add a new file, index.js. Index.js or main.js, we will consider this as startup, application starts. Actually, we have two types of environments: development environment, production environment, quality also, that is for testing. In development environment, the startup file is considered as index. And in production environment, it is considered as main.js. Actually, main is officially entry point. So you can just put index.js, and now here we have to import a module. HTTP is equal to require which module? HTTP. This HTTP module is imported. You already learned JavaScript. You are new to any library, because remember, in real-time projects, you have to work with lot of custom libraries. Custom libraries means you will join a company. In that company, they built their own library. Many times they build their own database also. You will not see MySQL, MongoDB like databases. They have their own databases. Many times you will see their own databases, their own server-side libraries. Then, if they are using a library which is globally available, we can learn about it. But if they built a library by themselves, then nobody knows about it. Outside world don't know. Even you go and Google about that library, it can't help you because there is no such library. They built their own library. Now, what is job of developer? Developer have to explore and know about the library by himself. That means with his programming skills, a developer have to know what that library is having. And he must able to understand what it is returning, what it is providing. How we can do that? For example, you have a HTTP object. So we created we created an HTTP object and we want to know what properties and methods it provides. Then how? You learnt already JavaScript. Through JavaScript, how you will know about all the properties and methods of an object. We have an object. How you will know all the properties and methods of any object? What that object have? How do we know? We have a lot of techniques in JavaScript. You learnt about object dot keys. Remember what it does? It returns all the keys. You can also use for in. By using for in, we can read all the properties. That means if you are new to any library, you can know about the library. Just what do you do? I will write a simple for loop where property in which module? HTTP. I want to know what properties it is having. Console.log. I will use property. And let's run this. Not in terminal. I will run in a new screen. So here we are running node index.what.js. You can see it has so many properties and methods. A developer can know about any library by himself. So you can simply write one's logic through that, you can understand everything. And you see this HTTP module provides some important properties and methods. You see, it is having methods. Methods indicate what action this application have to handle. That means generally methods are like get method, post method, put method, delete method, patch method, purge method, so many. There are so many HTTP methods. That means the methods indicate what action you want to handle. You want to fetch the data, you want to submit the data, modify, delete, all those. Status codes, actually, it contains information about various errors returned on server. Server will have different status codes. A developer can understand what is happening on the server using these status codes. Actually, status codes will have 1x status code, 2x status code, 3x status code, 4x status code, 5x. 1x status code are used for 1x status code used for process. 2x status code are used for confirmation. 3x status code are used for redirect method and redirection. 4x is for client side issues. And 500 are for server side issues. For server side issues, 500 status codes will come. 501, 502, 503, like that. For client side problems, 400 status codes will come. 404 not found, 401, 402, like that. For confirmation, 200, 20, 201, 200, 202, like that request will be there. So a server can identify the request and identify the issues, and it can report the issues, and it can get the confirmations. Everything it manages by using what? Status codes. All are not required. Only few I will explain here. User agent is for knowing what type of data is sending as a response, what type of data coming as request. All that you can do by using user agents. Like that, there are so many important we are going to learn. Methods are important, status codes are important. Create server. This is used to create a server. That is used to create the server. And actually, others not required. WebSockets later you will learn how to use that. So here, first to create a web server and to handle the server, you need these three: the methods, the status codes, and there is an option called creates. Now, one more important point is that is it possible to know what is the type of this property? Is it a function? Is it a string? Is it a number? Is it possible? It is possible now. How it is possible to know the type, data type? How to know their types? To know the type, you know now. So property, and I will put some brace, or better I will write like this. We are printing the property and we want to know its type. To know the type, what we will do? We will use type of there is a type of operator now in JavaScript. Type of what? HTTP of property. That means type of that particular property. In JavaScript, you know how to know the data type of any property of an object. Now you see what it is going to return. It is going to return the type also. That means it says methods is an object, status codes is an object, then this is what? Function. And you see create server is also a function. These are all functions it is having. And the max header size is a number, and these are others are objects it is showing. That means a developer can know about every module before he works with it. Actually, what happens if a library is built by a company, that is their own library, then they will give you complete documentation about it. You have to see the documentation, you need to understand. And sometimes you have to work with the libraries without any documenting about it, then you should explore by yourself. You have to know. So this HTTP module provides lot of properties and methods. So what are the properties and methods? Suppose you see, I want to know about HTTP dot, what is it? We are having methods. Methods is an object na? Then you will see what it will do. It will return all the methods. 34 methods are there. The methods it is returning, actually it is an array type. 0, 1, 2, 3 it is showing, means it is an array type. Then if it is an array type, better to use of operator. Of operator means you have to deal like an array. You can see the methods, all these different methods. These are all HTTP methods. So many HTTP methods are present. HTTP methods, these are all HTTP methods only. In that, only few methods we know, like get, post, put, delete. There are so many methods. Different types of HTTP methods are available, right? So we don't need to confuse with all these. Only what are important and required for designing a server and a web application, those we will learn. No need of confusing ourselves with all this, right? There are so many, we don't need all this. Actually, I told you we have another option. What is it? Status codes. Huh? Status codes, you see, lot of status codes are there. So that means it is not iterable. Huh? I think it is inoperator because it may be a normal object. Huh? These are all status codes. You see the status codes. I don't want their data type. I just want the value. Huh? I just want the value. Then you can see now status code value also will come. What is the value we will do? So this is I think this is off operator, right? It is not showing. Let's write one logic here. HTTP dot what? Status codes. It is an object actually. Yeah? So this is returning one object. You can see it returns an object. In that code and number are present. That means it is an object with collection of values. That means what we do better, just we have to use for var property in HTTP dot what? Status codes. And you see console.log, we print the property. That means it will return all the status codes we have. Actually, these are all status codes. And see the status codes 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x, and 5. For different purpose, different status codes. Actually, these status codes will also have, you see return type, it returns a string. That means status codes values also we can get. How to get the status code value is, see, what you do, we put property after that in the square brace, HTTP dot status codes of what is it? Property. This is going to return the status code name also. That means 100 means continue, 200 means okay, 201 means created, accepted. We can know what is the name of that status code, what is its purpose. And there are so many status codes. Right? But status codes range will be from 100 to 500. In some fresher interviews, they ask this. What is the status codes range? Status codes range is how much? 100 to 500. What is the 400 status code meaning? 400 related codes meaning. 400 related codes meaning client side problems. 500 means server side problems. 300 means about methods and redirection. And 100 means about process. 200 means confirmation. You see, 200 means created, accepted, no content, reset content. These are all confirmation. Okay, they are all confirmation. And 100 means they are related to process. Continue, I am switching protocols, I am processing up. They are all process related. 400 means client side problems, bad request, you are not authorized, payment required, forbidden, not found. Server side problem means 500. 500 means internal server error, means server is unable to respond. They are all server side errors. These are all server related problems, right? Technically, these are the status codes. So I will just give you a point here. That means what these contains. So HTTP object provides a set of properties and methods that are used to handle server side application So some important I will give, no need of all of them. One is create server. So it is responsible for creating a new server. It is responsible for creating a new server. We have next one, status codes. It returns the status codes and status text of every request. It returns the status codes and the status text of every request. We have one more, methods. All are not required methods. It returns the HTTP verbs like get, post, put, etc. How to use them, we are going to learn. We will see how to handle them. Remember, there are so many. Out of that, initially what are important, we will see. Web sockets and others later we can use according to the situation. So create server, status codes, methods and all. Right. So here I will give simple points like HTTP status codes. HTTP status codes range from 100 to 500. 100 to 500. So 100x related to process on server. Process that defines request and response. Related to process that defines request and response. 2x related to confirmation. Related to confirmation. 3x related to redirection and actions on server. 4x related to client side issues. 5x, these are related to server side issues. These are related to server side issues. Client side issues and server side issues. Client side issues and server side issues. So methods, HTTP methods refer to HTTP verbs that define the actions like get, this is for fetching, post for saving, put for updating, patch for partial update, delete for removing. All such actions are important. So how to create a server? How do we handle the request and the response? Let's see. So these are important server side you should know. And I will give a simple point now. So creating server. We will see the process how to create server and how do we handle request and response. So let's see how to create server. So actually this is the module required for creating server. We imported the module. HTTP is the module. Then through HTTP module, you can access, through that object you can access create server method. Actually create server uses a function. It uses a callback function. Actually what it does, it returns a server, right? It uses a callback function. This callback function will have two objects. One is request, another one is response. It have two objects, request and response. So every server contains two objects. What is the purpose of request object? A request object is responsible for requesting data from client. We can request data from client. Client side, some information is present that we can request from client. Who is requesting? Server. Server is requesting some data from client. From client, how data can come to us? how the data comes to us on a request. Client side, where he can keep the data. Actually, it can get the data from query string. Client side, the data can come from query string. The data can come from form body. You learn now? When you submit a form on GET request, the data is in query string. When you submit on POST request, the data is in form body. That means it can come from query string, it can come from form body, it can come from cookie. You learned client side state management now. That means client side, wherever data is present, server can bring that data by using which object? Request. It is used to request data from client. After that, if I have to send any response to client, from server, we want to send something to client. Then it is done by using which object? Response. Tell me how the response can be sent. What type of response we can send to client from server? From server, what type of response will go to client? For example, you opened www.netflix.com. What response you will get? www.netflix.com. What response you will get? You will get a HTML response. An index page will come now. That index page is which page? HTML. You can get, suppose you are requesting a PDF file. A file response may come. You are requesting API, fake store API and all those. Then what is the response? JSON response may come. XML response may come. That means the response from server to client can be in which format? It can be HTML format, it can be file format, it can be JSON, it can be XML, it can be plain text also. Plain text also response can go. File means JPG files, PDF files, any file type it can go. That means entire communication on a server is managed by two objects. One is request, another one response. So request object and response object. So how these objects work, we will see. What request object can do, how response can do, we will see that. So first, we created a server. On the server, we configured request and response. So here, this response is outgoing, this is incoming, request and response. Now, initially, I am sending some response to client. I want to handle a request, I want to send a response. Actually, we created server. After that, server creation is not important. Server should start. You created server, server is there, but in order to respond, it should start. You know, in your web application, you have to start live server. Na? If you don't start live server, obviously you cannot run the application. Server creation is important. After that, server should start. Starting the server and continuing the server is called as listen. Listen. Servers will, usually people say that server is running. That means I started server, server is running. That is not a correct term. Server don't run, server listen. That means you should say that server is listening. Server is listening means it is listening. You make a request, it will send a response. Server is listening. So After creating the server, to get a response from server, it should start listening. So we have to use a method dot listen. Listen. Listen means it starts the server. Listen. Where to listen? We have to tell the port number. Port number where to listen. We have to define the port number. Port number means why you need a port number? Because actually in our server, several apps are running. Java apps, .NET apps, PHP, Python, Angular, React. For every app, one port number is allocated. In that port number, that app is running. Your web applications are running in which number? 5500. Actually, port numbers. So usually you have to mention a port number. This port number actually, this port number that you mention, it can range from 1 to, so 565,565. That is the range of port number. In interviews, these kind of questions they ask. What is the range of status codes? What is the range of port numbers? The port numbers range will be 1 to 65,565. That is the standard limit of port numbers. Actually, in this also several divisions are there. You don't need all those divisions, but you just need to know the range. Actually, 1 to 1000, 1023. 1 to 1023. These are called as general port numbers. These are all considered as general port numbers. Actually, these are called as commonly used port numbers, common port numbers, right? So general purpose, general port numbers, you can call them as anything. There is another limit actually, 1024, 1024 to we have approximately how much? 5,900, 59451. Up to 59451, these are called registered port numbers. Registered port numbers. Registered port numbers will be up to this. And 59, how much? 59452 to 65,565. Up to this, they are called as dynamic port numbers. They are called dynamic port numbers. And you don't need them, but just a point I'm explaining. But the range is from 1 to 65,565. That is the range of port numbers. Dynamic port numbers means the numbers will be changing regularly. They don't have a static port number. The port number will be changing according to the situation. But you just need to have a port number. Make sure that you given any number within the range and make sure that the number is not already in use. Already in use means some other app is not using it. Then conflict will come. It will simply show a message. Already there is an app running on this number. Right? You remembered MongoDB is running on MongoDB. Which port number? Remember 27017. 27017. Na? That is the port number of MongoDB. Remember? Na? We learned MongoDB. Na? Right? It runs on that particular port number. 27017. That is the port number of MongoDB server. So always you should make sure that you are using a number which is not already in use. So you just give any number. Suppose I will give a number, some 4,000 is the number. Anything you can define. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of this? Your application is running on this particular port number. It is running on port number. Okay. So what we need to do is when clients, how client will request, what is your server name? Server name can be like this, console.log. We will put a message. What is the message? Server started. And what is the server address? Every server address is same. HTTP colon double slash. What is it? 127001 colon. What is the port number now? 4000. Our own port number that we have defined. That means our application is now running here. It is running here. Okay. When anybody requests, there is no response going. We will create one response. What is that response? By using response.write. We have response.write. There are so many options. We will use various options like response.end, response.write-head. Response.write-head, it is expecting what is the status code. There are so many methods. I will explain. Write-head indicates. So what is the status code? Status code means when you want to send a response, we should always send a response when request is okay. That means what is the status code? 200. 200 is for okay. Every server sends a response to client only when it is okay. And okay status code number is how much? 200. So on this status code, what you want to send as a response? That means you can define an object. You can define an object. In this object, you can define what content type you want to send as response. So content type, what is the content type I want to send as response? Actually, content type we have to send as a text/HTML or text/plain. Plain means normal text. Text/plain. By default response is text plain. Okay. Now how do we send the response? That means we have to use, what is it? Response. Response dot what? Write. We have response dot write. So write indicates what is the message you want to send. What is the content you want to send? You have to give the content. That means what is the first step? First step, you have to tell what type of content you are sending and when you are sending. When we are sending on OK, we will send which type of content? Plain text. That means plain text content we will send. Okay, what is that content? Tell. That content I am telling here. Welcome to Node.js. This is the content we are defining. Okay. Now let's run this and see. I will start node. What is it? Index dot what? JS. Then it says server started. And it is running on this particular address. Okay, let's open browser. In the browser, we will request that here. What is the request? http://127.0.0.1:4000. That is the port number. And hit enter. Then it has to get the response from that and it should display. Here still some points are there. You see now it is making a request to it and it has to send. Because still it is not completed. Why it is not completed? Because a response should end also. Means it is still requesting. We should say that after going the response, it should end the response. You need one more option. What is that option is? You need to write one more thing here. After sending that, what we have to do? Response dot what? End. And we need to end the response. That means we have to write, we need to end the response. Actually, response is having so many other details also. You see, response contains lot of details. These all are not required every time. Depending on the situation, we need to use. That means all these are response related options, right? So here one more option is that make sure that the port number is not already in use. It is not already in use. Now I make a request, it will send. We are making a request and that response comes from the server. This is our own application. We created a server, we configured a request and response. Now, what is the point is what type of response you are sending? You are sending an plain response. When you tell plain response, only plain. For example, you see now, every time remember, make sure that when you are making modification in the file, you stop it. Control C to stop. After you stop, then make the changes. Here, I am sending a response heading. That means welcome to Node.js. I am writing a heading. And now we will compile this again. And you will refresh here. And you see it will not display that. Why? Because the type I am telling to browser that it is plain text. Then we have to tell the browser what to tell. We have to tell the browser this is not plain text. This is what, which text? HTML text. If it is HTML text, then run it again. Then you will see the response is okay. We can send anything as a response. Anything as a response. So we configured a server, we are running a server, and user is requesting, it will get a request and send the response. JSON response, file response, we will see how do we handle those options. So let's see how to create and define the server. Creating the server, what are the steps? So first point, HTTP module provides create server method to create a server object. So HTTP dot create server. It uses a callback function, request and a response. Now here so many points are there. Request object is responsible for requesting the client data, which can be query string, form body, cookies, etc. Response object is responsible for sending a response to client, sending a response to serve to client, which can be text, HTML, file, XML, JSON, etc. So here response object provides various methods. One is write head. It defines the type of content to send as a response. Right. It contains the chunk of response. That is nothing but the content to send. It contains the content to send. And end, it is compulsory. It ends the response. Every response must end. It should end. So http.create server, it uses a callback function with request and response. Remember, these are formal parameter names. Formal parameter names means you can give any name, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, but first one refers to request, second one refers to response. You can give any name. So response dot write head. So here status code and content type you need to define. Just syntax I am giving. After that, response dot write content to send. After that, response dot end. We have to define. Right. Here important, always response is sent to client when status code is 200. 200 means what? Okay. Okay is the status code. Next important is server. Next important is server. Server. Next point. Server starts using listen method. Server starts using listen method. So HTTP create server. It uses a method called listen and port number. Port number. That's just only syntax. So here port numbers 1 to 1023. Well-known port numbers. Actually, it is 41591. This is registered port numbers. 41592 65 565. This is dynamic port numbers. So the range of the port. Now we are configuring and sending the response. So one more time I will show you how we can send different type of response. Actually, depending on the type. For example, here I will stop this. Okay, I will copy this one. I will remove all this and let's create from the begin. First, what is it? We have to import a module. Which module? HTTP. So constant HTTP is what require HTTP. After that, we need to create a server. HTTP dot create server. You can use arrow technique, request and response. You already know arrow mechanism, right? You can simply create a request response. This is shorthand way, right? And now response dot what? Right head, right head. So on 200 and what is the content type? Content type. Content type is text slash HTML. Okay, response dot what? Right, right. So here I kept some welcome to Node.js. So this is, you can put anything you want. That means, so HTML response. So HTML response sent from server, something like this. Now what? Response dot what? End. And it should listen. Listen on 4040. Anything you define. Console.log. So you put a message. Server started. This message is optional. If you don't put the message, we don't know whether started or not. So put a message. Just that started is enough. But we have to clearly tell where it started and all. HTTP colon. You can use double slash. You can use local host. You can use IP address or you can use the word localhost, right? So IP address 127.0.0.1 and 4040. And now you open here node, it started on 4040. Now I will go to this one browser and http colon double slash localhost 4040. Then it should get that and display. It is getting the response and displaying the response, right? That is basically how we need to configure. And depends on what type of response you are sending. And remember, this is MIME type. You should perfectly mention MIME type. If there is a problem in MIME type, browser cannot show. Browser cannot show. For example, I will copy this example. This is index dot, this is example, index dot what? JS. That is the example. Now, what you have to do is, so node index dot JS. And from browser, you have to request that HTTP colon double slash localhost 4040, or you can use the IP address also. You can use this IP address also. You can use both, right? Now suppose you are sending some response is, you see I am sending an array of object. We have name and we have price. We are sending array of object. That means this is what kind of data you are sending. JSON, you are sending a JSON one. That means mobile, some price and some price. You are sending JSON. Then the type should be what? Actually, for JSON, it is application/JSON. For everyone, MIME type is not same. And there is no blind recognition about MIME type. We have to remember, we have to know about it. Every MIME type will not be same. You can Google, you will get the MIME types, or once you know about various file types, you can easily type them. Because if you mismatch the MIME type, you will not able to handle. And still, some points are important. What are those is, see, suppose I'm using this one and now refresh. Now you see the data is not there. Why the data is not there? So why the data is not there? Because you see a chunk received an array, but it must be what type? String type. Actually, what is the problem? It is a string, but it should be in JSON. So we have a method called, here parsing methods are there. How to convert into a string. So you have an option called JSON.stringify. JSON.stringify, it will convert any value into what type? String. So you see I put a string here now. That means that is the data. Because it is expecting that type. You see now this is started and you make a request, the data will come. It is in JSON form. That is how fake store all people are sending the data. Right? That means the data comes in this format. You have to mention, you need to convert everything into a string. You are sending JSON, you have to convert into JSON string file. This is just because later you will learn connecting with database, get the data from database and send the data to client. We will learn with MongoDB, with MySQL, how we do. But for that, first important, you should know how do we send different kinds of data. This is example of what? JSON response. This is a JSON response example. Now here so many more concepts are there to understand that we will see in next session. First you try this, then in the next session we will continue how to configure request response and what are the other modules. Currently you learned only one module. What is that? HTTP for creating servers, right? Now how to handle others we will see. Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay, right. Yes, yes, Kunal.
Yes, I tried from client side and server side, sir. It's showing error, sir, passing error. Can I
What
explain
client
you, sir?
side, server side?
You explained about the Node.js, na, from client side and server side. I tried both, sir. But I'm taking the
Share,
input
share,
on the
share,
H1
share
function.
your screen. We'll see.
Okay, sir. Okay. It's visible, sir?
Uh,
Yes, sir. Here, sir.
what you are doing? You save it. Control yes, you should save. You haven't
Sir,
saved the file.
yes, sir. I've saved, sir, but not
See
working.
the black dot. It is saying not saved. Now it is saved. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now what?
Here,
Where you are importing?
sir. In app.js.
In app.js, why you are importing?
No,
This
sir.
is
No, sir.
not.
In the app.html, sir.
What you
Type
define?
is module. Yes, sir. When I'm run, now
Where is
output is
that?
showing.
Where is that file? Why you are running here?
This type is showing, sir. Some problem.
Where is your HTML file?
Yes, sir. In SRC code.
Right click and open with live server, man.
Sir, I in my setup, live server is not working, sir. So I installed the 5 server. In that, I am running the all data, sir.
Open that page.
Okay, sir.
Browser. Open in browser.
Yes,
Select SRC.
yes, sir.
Click on HTML.
Yes, sir. Sir, this type.
Your server have an issue. What is that? You see your server, you need a live server. You have to install live server.
I installed, sir. Mentor also tell me that live server is problem for VS Code extension is problem is there. So I
Then
did not.
once reinstall this live server plugin. Okay.
It's work, sir.
You install VS Code plugin one more time, live server. Okay.
Okay, okay, sir. I think that ES20 saw a problem, so we are seeing that passing error. So I confused about
There is no problem in that. Okay.
it. Okay,
Uh,
okay, sir.
uh,
Thank you.